Hello, grade 5 students. It's Mr. Waterman here with today's mathematics lesson on Monday, January 31st, 2022, the last day of January. Okay, so last week we started solid figures, right? And I told you that we were going to spend 2 weeks on solid figures. I already posted both of the worksheets that you needed to do for last week and this week. Last week, I only gave you the assignment to complete in your practice book. I'll go over the answers in just a second. And then this week, what I want you to do is I want you to work on the homework assignment, okay, which you already have the worksheet. Hopefully you didn't work ahead, but I think some of you already did. Okay, so you can just review. Okay. So here's what we looked at last week, just to review. We said that our objective, we were going to identify solid figures, okay? We learned that most of the objects that we see every day are solid figures, right? Boxes, cups, and other containers are all examples of solid figures, right? I showed you my water bottle, I believe, and I wanted you to try and guess what solid figure this is. What about this figure that's holding my pens and pencils? What is that, right? Many of you who have been in my classroom, you know I have many of these, right? What solid figure is that? Don't look at the bottom. Okay. How about this? What is this figure? Many of you like to sit on this and kick it as you come in to my classroom. There are solid figures all around us at all times, okay? So then, we also talked about some of our vocabulary. We had solid figure, face, edge, vertex, base, prism, pyramid, and cylinder, right? We learned that a solid figure has length, width, height, and it takes up space. Okay? We learned that each flat surface is a face. Each face is a polygon. We learned that the faces on the top and bottom are called bases. We learned the line segment formed where two faces meet is called an edge. And then we also learned the point where three or more edges meet is a vertex. More than one, we say vertices. Then we looked at the meaning of a prism. A prism is a solid figure that has two parallel congruent bases, okay, joined by rectangular faces. Each prism is named by the shape of its base. The pasta box to the right is a rectangular prism since its bases, the bottoms, are rectangular. Okay? Here are some of the shapes. We had a triangular prism. You can see the base is triangular shape. We had a rectangular prism. You can see the bases are rectangular shaped. We have a cube, and all faces are congruent, meaning they're the same. Okay? And then we had a pentagonal prism, where they are pentagonal shaped. Then we learned that a pyramid has one base that can be any polygon. All of the other faces are triangles that share vertex, right? Here's our triangular pyramid. You see the base here. We have a square pyramid, and then we have a pentagonal pyramid. Okay? And finally, we learned that some solid figures have curved surfaces. I just showed you a few. We have a cylinder. These are the bases. It has a curved surface. We have a cone. That's the base, and it also has a curved surface. And then the sphere, which has a curved surface. Okay, so we went through all of those. For your practice activity, you needed to complete page 112. Here are our answers for last week's activities. To save time, I'll just go through them. Number 3 is a square pyramid. It has 5 faces, 5 vertices, and 8 edges. A rectangular pyramid. We have 5 faces, 5 vertices, and 8 edges. Our cube, which has 6 faces, 8 vertices, and 12 edges. Our sphere, you have 1 face, 0 vertices, and 0 edges. For our word problems, number 7, it said, a solid figure has 2 triangular bases and 3 rectangular faces. What kind of figure is it? Is it A, a rectangular prism, B, a triangular pyramid, C, a triangular prism, or is it D, a rectangular pyramid? Okay. It is C, a triangular prism. Look back here. Our triangular prism, both our bases are triangular. This figure has 2 triangular bases, right? And then 3 rectangular faces. 1, 2, and 3. Triangular prism it is. Okay? Remember, I made a really long video last week. You guys can go back and watch that video again and review it. Okay? I'm just hitting the highlights in this video to save on time. Number 8. We need to use the table below to predict the number of faces, vertices, and edges a hexagonal pyramid will have. Explain how you found your answer. So we have a triangular pyramid with 4 faces, 4 vertices, and 6 edges. We have a square pyramid with 5 faces, 5 vertices, and 8 edges. And then we have a pentagonal pyramid, which has 6 faces, 6 vertices, and 10 edges. And now we move on to a hexagonal pyramid, which will have 7 faces, 7 vertices, and 12 edges. How did I explain my answer? Well, I made it simple. I said you add 1 face. You see the pattern, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then for the vertices, you add 1 vertex, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then for edges, you added 2 edges, 6, 8, 10, and 12. We have a pattern. Okay? So that was your practice activity for last week. This week, what I want you to do is the homework. So this is the last week we're going to spend on solid figures. You already have the scan. Okay? The homework is the same page as the practice book, which is on page 112. For the face, it says a flat polygonal surface of a solid figure. An edge. It's a line segment formed where 2 faces meet. Remember, you have all of this in your notes already, right? A vertex is a point where 3 or more edges meet. Then you have a prism. A solid figure that has 2 parallel congruent bases that are polygons joined by rectangular faces. Blah. All these videos, all this talking. Okay. And finally, you have a pyramid, a solid figure that has one base, that is a polygon, and triangular faces that share a vertex. Now for the directions for this activity, you need to name each solid figure. Then you need to write the number of faces, vertices, and edges. Okay? There are 6 of these. Then you have a word problem. Alta traced the base of a solid figure. A square formed on her paper. What solid figures could she have traced? Okay? Let's do one together. Okay? Number 1. This shape is a cylinder. C-Y-L-I-N-D-E-R. Okay? For our cylinder, we have 3 faces. Okay? For our vertices, we don't have any. Because remember, our vertex, you need to have the point where 3 or more edges meet. And our cylinder doesn't have that. And for our edges, we have 2. Okay? Please do the same for numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay? When you get to the word problem, remember, a square is going to form on the paper. So there are a few where you could have a few possible shapes. Okay? One possible shape, I'm going to give you a hint. You can see where I'm pointing. You can see the bases are square shaped. Here's another one where you can see the bases are square shaped. Okay? That's the only hint you're getting. And that's going to be it for today's mathematics lesson. Please do what I said and go back and review last week's video as well as this week's video. If you didn't complete the activity from your practice book, please go ahead and complete that activity. And please complete this week's activity in your homework book. Okay? Hopefully we will be at school fairly soon. If not, what I'm going to do is I am going to give you a little quiz next week. If I find out that we are going to be online longer than this week, be prepared for a quiz. This quiz will probably be the last quiz test of the school year, as report cards are just around the corner. So anything that I'm going to quiz you on is going to be fair game from your notes, okay? And that includes the few weeks that we had multiplying decimals, as well as looking at symmetry as well, okay? So keep all of that in mind. If you have any questions, please email me. I will be more than happy to answer any of your questions. That is going to be it for today's mathematics lesson, students. Take care, stay safe, be well. And again, thank you very much for being patient with myself and all of your teachers at this time. We know this is not a great way to finish out the end of the school year. This is sort of a repeat of what we went through back in the winter of 2020. Okay, so fingers crossed. Hope to see you soon. Bye-bye for now.